my spooky friends. If this is your first time to my channel, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Emily, and today I am bringing you another spooky Sunday. Alright, fellow creepy content lovers, let's go ahead and get right on into this story. And this is a really interesting one because this is one that absolutely terrifies me. Like, I'm not spooked very often by these types of things. I'm like always looking up paranormal and creepy stuff, and I'm not really often spooked by this kind of stuff, but for some reason the story just freaking terrifies me. And last week I stated that I wanted to bring you guys some special spooky content for the month of October, since it is of course the Halloween month. So I am bringing you guys some really scary paranormal investigations and paranormal stories that personally freak me out. Because if they freak me out with the amount of paranormal and creepy content that I watch and enjoy, then they are definitely the scariest of all scary stories. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into the Skinwalker Ranch. The fall of 1994 was an exciting new chapter in the Gorman family's lives. They were about to make a huge step in their lives and purchase their dream ranch in Ballard, Utah. The family was excited to purchase their new 480-acre ranch. This ranch was perfect for Tom and Ellen Gorman, since Tom was a cattle breeder and had been looking for the perfect ranch to raise the cattle. They were even more excited that the ranch was selling for a surprisingly low price, but didn't question the reasoning for the discounted price tag. The Gormans were so excited about this new home, in fact, that they failed to question why every door in the house had heavy-duty locks on them, why the windows were deadbolted, and why the previous owners left them chained up guard dogs. The day the family moved in, they noticed an abnormally large wolf nearby that came up to them and even let Tom pet it. The animal had silver hair and blue eyes and was very large for a normal wolf. Seeming friendly, the family considered keeping it as a pet until it ran up to a calf, bit down, and tried to escape with the baby cow. Tom shot at the animal, hitting it, but no blood was produced from the bullet wound. Tom shot again, and still nothing. After a third shot to the animal's heart, there was still no blood, but it finally seemed to act injured. The wolf dropped the calf, and Tom followed the animal for about a mile, continuing to shoot at it, hoping that eventually one of the shots would be fatal. After following the wolf for a while, Tom finally seemed to have lost track of it. Unfortunately, this would not be the family's first encounter with strange, abnormal animals. Strange-colored exotic birds, red hyenas with bushy tails, uncommonly large wolves, and even a strange shadow-like figure would show up uninvited at their ranch. The Gormans had already experienced strange incidents with the unidentifiable animals around the ranch, but they couldn't have been able to predict what was to come. The Gormans often noticed orb-like anomalies in the sky around their ranch. These unidentified glowing blue orbs resembled glass-like balls with swirling liquid inside. The family would often observe the orbs shooting out strange lights and masses into the sky. One strange event took place on the evening of April 1996. It started out like a fairly normal evening at the ranch for Tom. He was sitting outside his house with his 3 dogs. Suddenly, Tom looked across the landscape and noticed a large orange orb in the distance. This was a pretty normal occurrence for the Gormans, but this time something rather odd happened. Tom saw a strange flash of light illuminate the sky, and the dogs seemed to notice this as well. The dogs began growling, and the orb seemed to move closer to Tom and the dog's location until eventually the orb was about 100 yards away and seemed to be hovering about 10 feet off the ground. This startled Tom and the dogs. The dogs began to run after the orb, and the orb seemed to be leading the dogs away. After a short while, Tom could no longer see the dogs, but heard a blood-curdling yelp in the distance. Tom immediately thought the worst and was terrified to go searching for the dogs, since it was nighttime and it was already dark outside. He went to bed and figured he would evaluate the situation in the morning. Once the morning time rolled around, Tom ventured out into the direction where he saw the orb to search for his missing dogs. Upon walking into the foresty area, Tom stumbled upon an area of grass that looked like it had been burned. He smelled a putrid scent of rotting flesh and looked further to investigate. Slopped onto the burned grass lay 3 large black sludgy circles. He realized immediately that this is what was left of his dogs. Since Tom was a prized cow breeder, he often would spend his time scanning the ranch and surrounding area in order to protect his family and his livestock. One night, he was outside surveying the area when he noticed movement out of the corner of his eye. He caught a glimpse of an aircraft about 20 feet off the ground, and it was moving towards him. Tom noticed that the aircraft made no noise even when it got closer to him. Tom noticed flashing lights coming out of the aircraft as well. It seemed to be searching the area. Suddenly, Tom felt as if the craft had noticed him. It stopped for a moment, the lights went out, and then suddenly the craft disappeared. A few weeks later, Tom's wife Ellen had a paranormal experience of her own. Ellen was driving home from work as she always did, although this time she was going to the ranch knowing she would be home alone for the night. Tom was in another town for work and the kids were staying the night at a friend's. After Ellen arrived on the property, she noticed a large black shadow that seemed to fall down onto her car. Ellen looked up and saw exactly what she was fearing to see. A triangular-shaped craft was hovering right above her. It was completely silent and seemed to be beaming out colorful lights, similarly to the craft that Tom had seen a few weeks back. Ellen, terrified, ran into the house as fast as she could and locked all the doors. A few hours later, Ellen noticed a trailer parked about 200 yards outside of the house on the property. She peered into the darkness only to notice a strange black figure inside the trailer. It was sitting down as if it was sitting at a desk. To Ellen's surprise, the figure stood up and walked towards what looked like a light-filled doorway in the trailer. This illuminated the true form of the strange shadow man. Ellen could now see that the figure stood around 7 feet tall. Ellen was horrified and immediately called Tom, begging him to come home, and he did just that. The next morning, Ellen looked out the window to where the mysterious trailer was. Somehow, the mysterious trailer that had tormented Ellen was gone, but proof of the trailer's existence would soon make itself known. Upon researching the area, Ellen and Tom found large 18-inch footprints in the dirt where the large figure Ellen had saw would have been. The strange thing about this already strange incident is, Ellen and Tom only had one entrance to the ranch, and it was gated up with a heavy-duty lock on it at all times. The Gorman family had been through it all. First, strange animals, then glowing orbs, followed by a mysterious shadow man stalking their home. Unfortunately, the string of bizarre events wasn't quite done with the Gormans yet. The family started to notice that their beloved cattle Tom raised were starting to be targeted by whoever or whatever was living at the ranch amongst the family. The first cow mutilation occurred after one of the first UFO sightings. The cow was found by Tom with a hole inside of its left eyeball. Tom also noted that the cow and the surrounding area seemed to have the strange odor of chemicals. Soon after the first cow was tragically mutilated, another cow was found dead with the same familiar hole in its left eye. Tom and Ellen had had enough. The family conducted an experiment to see what was going on with the pattern of holes being left in the cow's eyes. Tom placed a wire into both diseased cows' eyes directly into the hole. Tom was horrified. The hole seemed to go straight into the poor cow's brains. After these incidents, it became a normal occurrence for cows to go missing on the ranch. In March of 1997, Ellen and Tom tagged their newly bought Black Angus calves and cows, as they usually would do with their livestock. Upon tagging the cows, the duo heard one of their dogs barking loudly at something. Concerned, Tom and Ellen followed the barking to a baby calf that was lying down. Upon looking at the calf, the family discovered something truly gruesome. Upon turning the cow over, the two noticed the cow's abdomen and chest cavity had seemingly been ripped out. Terrified and confused, Tom and Ellen called the local cattle vet to come down to the ranch and evaluate the poor calf's wounds. The vet made a disturbing discovery. The cuts that had been inflicted on the calf were made with surgical precision and had been made with very sharp surgical tools. Due to the lack of blood at the scene, the vet also stated wherever this awful mutilation happened, it wasn't at the ranch. Somehow it seemed as if the cow had been taken from the ranch and returned to the family. Ellen and Tom had done a thorough walkthrough about 30 minutes before they started tagging their cattle. They were certain the baby calf wasn't there at the time. This means that the cow somehow was dropped off at their ranch within 30 minutes of them discovering the gruesome scene. The family was done being tormented by the unseen forces of the ranch. They were determined to sell the dark ranch and get away from the paranormal forever. On the last night Tom and Ellen spent at the ranch, they locked all the doors, turned off all the lights, and went to bed as normal. They woke up in the morning only to find a 1/8 inch scoop mark out of their thumbs and blood on the sheets. Even stranger, the two had the exact same dream, that they were being experimented on by extraterrestrials. Was this a dream, or was this their reality? That day, the family moved in with some friends until they could finally sell the ranch. Now, before we get into the investigation on what happened after the ranch was sold, we need to truly understand what forces might be at play here. A skinwalker is a type of malicious witch that can shapeshift into any animal they want and take on the characteristics of that animal. They are very well known amongst Native Americans. There is a very large Native American tribe that coincidentally is very close in distance to the ranch. While living at the ranch, Tom and Ellen had heard rumors that the local Native American tribe knew of something otherworldly going on in their ranch. The Native Americans believed that the strange happenings at the ranch were due to the work of a skinwalker. The superstition of the skinwalker in that area had been passed down for 15 generations. The Gormans were finally able to escape the paranormal happenings at the ranch, but they couldn't escape their horrific memories the ranch had burned into their heads. Things were so strange and unsettling that Tom eventually went public with his paranormal story. A news article would be printed out in the local paper about his time at the mysterious ranch. This caught wind amongst the locals, and talk of a cursed paranormal ranch began to spread. The story eventually attracted the attention of NIDS, the National Institute for Discovery of Science, and the owner, Robert Bigelow. Robert eventually purchased the ranch due to a piqued interest in investigating the paranormal. Robert and his team were fascinated by the story. The team was given a budget and access to the ranch, and started their investigation. The investigation went on to last 8 years. Everyone in the area was now well aware of the ranch, the paranormal phenomenons, and the ongoing investigation, eventually attracting members of the CIA and the FBI to aid in the investigation alongside NIDS. Retired military men, including a retired Army general, also came to help with the investigation. One night at the ranch, a member of NIDS named Mike was standing on a ridge looking down at the pasture for evidence of the paranormal. This is the same spot that Tom would often frequent to look over their livestock, where so many unexplained UFOs were seen in the sky. Around 2:30 a.m., Mike spotted the faint glow of a yellow-looking orb producing a light in the distance. Mike recalls that the light emitting from the orb resembled a tunnel of some sorts. Mike stood on the ledge, watching what was unfolding right in front of his eyes in disbelief. To his surprise, in the tunnel of light, he could make out a roughly 4-foot-tall shadow figure walk through the tunnel. For decades, many have speculated that the ranch is a portal from this world to another. For Mike, seeing this strange anomaly in the sky would prove the portal allegations as true for him. Many documentaries have been made about the ranch, and many people are interested in investigating the ranch in seek of the paranormal. NIDS, CIA, and FBI agents have all captured many possible pieces of evidence proving the existence of a portal or paranormal occurrences in the ranch. Of course, with all of the buzz surrounding the area, many amateur paranormal investigators have tried to conduct investigations of their own. The ranch is not easily accessible, though. It is chained up and heavily secured, probably in an attempt to protect the individuals wanting to seek these creatures. For believers of the paranormal, the Utah Skinwalker Ranch is one of the biggest pieces of evidence pointing towards the existence that we are not alone in this universe. For non-believers of the paranormal, a night spent in the bizarre Skinwalker Ranch might just end up changing their minds. The ranch, for now, is still shrouded in mystery. Maybe one day we will have a closer look into what is really happening behind the gates of the Skinwalker Ranch. And that is the story of Skinwalker Ranch. Those are all true events. All of the photos that I have attached in this video are all actual photos from either NIDS or from Tom and his family himself. And as you can see, there's a lot of evidence to back up that this actually may have happened. And the fact that there was FBI and CIA guys and, old Army retired generals that were actually sent out and were interested in taking a look at everything really proves to me that there was definitely something going on there. And the idea of skinwalkers is actually a very well-known phenomenon and is very, very old and very well known by a lot of people, especially, as I said when I was telling you guys the story, especially in Native American culture. My mom is Native American and has talked to me about skinwalkers before, and you're not even really supposed to say the word skinwalkers because that's kind of how they find you. Yeah, I've just said skinwalker like 100 times, so let's all hope and pray that they do not find me. But that story really spooks me out, and I really hope that it was able to spook some of you guys out. I hope you found it interesting and fun to read about, but slightly spooky as well. But with that being said, that is going to be wrapping up this week's Spooky Sunday. I do hope that you consider subscribing if you have not already. I am doing Spooky Sunday every single Sunday, and during the rest of the week I have all sorts of makeup goodness happening here here on this channel. So if you are not already subscribed and you would like to be, I would love to see you hit that button down below. I do also hope that you consider giving this video a big old thumbs up and turning on the notification bell if you enjoy Spooky Sunday and you want to see more of it. But I hope you are having an absolutely amazing and slightly spooky day wherever you are, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye!